where are you guys at? What's the result? Why did you come to CWU? We'll get to that in a minute, but where are you at now where you're like, holy cow, right? Does anyone want to share?
I mean, I definitely feel like I'm in a better place just in terms of taking care of myself. And the one thing I've learned about, from going through this program is the crazy does not go away. You are still dealing with multiple demands, your busy family life. But I feel like I'm at a place where at least, number one, I know what my needs are and I've been able to prioritize them.
Oh, Jean, we just lost your sound.
Oh, okay. Just having more tools to kind of get through and navigate better. And instead of putting all this pressure on myself, being able to kind of take a step back and, ask, like, is this really like life or death, or can it wait? Or do I need to make some adjustments so it's not so stressful?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So how would you, is there like a feeling or is it like greater control now over your life and your environment?
Control, and I feel like I have more fun and I'm more fun to be around. Like I laugh more. I have more fun with my daughter. And when I started this program, I was just always like worried about work, thinking about work. And now it is a part of my life. It is not my entire life. So for me, that is the biggest lesson.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's huge, Jean. I think you're right. Because I think as women, we try to like, how do I get all the challenges to go away? Yeah. So now I can go enjoy my life. Yeah. They don't ever go away. Like work is always insane, especially at this level, right? So it's like, yep, there's a challenge and I'm going to either tackle it now or go home and play with my daughter or whatever it is, right? Yeah. That is so awesome. Great share. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Like, where are you at now? Results. Holly, I'll call on you.
I'm in a place of being more comfortable with, I don't feel behind, and I don't know that I'm any less on top of the workload, but I don't let it bother me when I'm not working. And so I think you gave a talk at one point about the all or nothing mindset, and that was very much me, and I fall into it still sometimes, but at least when I do, I know. And so I think, if I couldn't do a project well enough, I would stay at work 3 extra hours late to do it to that level. And now I'm much more comfortable saying, I'm going to get a start on this and sort of plant some seeds, and then I'm going to step away from work and fully engage with my family life and enjoy it and step back to it tomorrow for 15, 20 minutes and to sort of move things along incrementally. Before, I can't say that I'm quite working the hours that I want to at this point, but yet I've seen big shifts. So, I haven't stayed up till 3 a.m., till 1 a.m. Like midnight, I'm cutting myself off. And often it's a lot better than that. But then I can wake up in the morning and be ready to play with my kids. They're young. They get up at 6 a.m. They want to jump on my bed and play. And, I'm available, in more concentrated spurts where I'm just fully present with them and not, listening to their story and saying, as I do like data problem solving.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that, Holly. I love that. And what's interesting, Jean and Holly, both what you said is that I think everyone hears that and we're all like, yeah, just don't let it worry you. Yeah, just stop working so much. Like, but as you know now going through CW, because I used to tell myself that too, but I'd always revert back to that behavior. And we'll talk about that in a minute. It's getting below the surface of why you always fall back into that pattern. Yeah. But what a gift. I mean, just to be able to get, okay, you're working till midnight, which, that's not what you want to do the rest of your life. But the fact that it's not 3 a.m., that's a huge shift. And Holly, the fact that you're like there for your kids and you can be fun and not just so, work. Oh my God, that's huge. That's huge. I love it. All right, Karen, what about you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was stuck in a bit of a loop. I knew the theory of like shutting my computer down at 5:30. And I knew the theory that I should be there for my kids, and I could feel the pain when I wasn't doing it, but I wasn't doing it. There was still always emails, always a meeting to get, always a phone call at 5:30 that I felt driven to attend, and that somehow the world wouldn't be right if I wasn't there. And, people would think badly of me. My boss wouldn't, think well of me if I shut down a computer and said, sorry, I can't do this. It's tea time. I need to be home for my kids. So I knew all of that theory, but I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it, even though it pained me, even though they were waiting for me. Sometimes they were hungry and I wasn't making their dinner because I was just saying one more email. And now I have that strength, and it's not really strength. I just feel completely empowered and to say, no, I can't do that. And there's not an ounce of guilt here. There's not an ounce of guilt anymore. I'm so, resolute. And I knew, like I said, I knew the theory and I wasn't applying it. It was almost like I was an addict to what I was doing. And I broke the habit. I have broken those habits. I now say no. I can say this week, I think it was Wednesday night, I had a hair on fire moment from one of my colleagues saying, help, I need this thing. I'm going to present tomorrow. And I thought, she's a valued colleague. I know that, what she's in. I helped her. So I spent 2 hours helping her, even though I knew I was eating into my family time. The next day, I said to my team, guys, I could see a gap in my diary. I said, look, I can take 2 hours, 3 hours off to go with my kids this afternoon. I'm going to take it because I worked late last night. And I had emails back to say, oh, that's so good. Because I was a team leader saying, it's okay. Sometimes you have to work in an emergency mode. You have to do it. And you're a team player and you do it. But then take time back. And I was, so that's what I did. We went for a walk around the lake and had a great time. Oh. So, I just feel better about doing that now.
That's fantastic, Karen. I mean, it just sounds like control, right? It's not about, well, I'm going to shove it all into 9 to 5 and get it done. Hell be gone. It's, no, I need to work late. This is a legitimate reason to step away from my private life and do some work here. And then being able to change that back and say, okay, but I'm taking that back the next day or the next week or whatever it is you need to do. Oh. But to get rid of the guilt, that's the thing. Because I think we've all, done the whole, I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean? Like you just walk out, but you don't feel good.
Yeah. No, that doesn't feel good in the pit of your stomach. If there's a little voice saying you should be somewhere else, it's not fun. You're not there with your kids having fun.
You're not. You're worried about, oh my gosh, and it's like you feel guilty that you've stolen this life moment away from work. And this is just ridiculous. Like this is right. Yeah. That piece right there is, I think, what men do so much better. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like, my husband will just like walk out of whatever. Like if we're in the middle of a dinner party and he's like, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, oh, like what will people think if we go? Like, I want to go. Of course, it just doesn't even faze him to be worried about all the stuff that we worry about. God. And I see it professionally, right? Men are just like, why would I? No, I'm not going to go to that meeting. And they just don't. And there's no sweat, right? Like there's, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh, Karen. I love that. Okay, cool. So how would you describe then? So I love where you guys have come to. Like, this is amazing, right? This is what everyone's looking for. But what was life like before? And Karen, you kind of gave us a little bit of a flavor of that. But Jean, maybe you were sharing that you were working a lot, but like, what was your home life like? Like, what was going on for you?
Yeah, I just felt like, similar to what Holly said, I always felt like I was behind, and there was always this underlying stress in the background, just looming in the background. So even though I wasn't at work, in the evenings I was at home, I was still thinking about work, worrying about the email, trying to keep up. And I felt that I wasn't attending to my home life. So I wasn't really spending a lot of time with my husband or my daughter, or quality time with my daughter. Mm-hmm. So, and, one of the things that also, was a factor is just perfectionist at home. So it's not only just work, but when you're raising a young child who's like 4.5, who's, she's going to have the outburst in the grocery store. When it goes on, that used to stress me out. And I would be mortified. And it was just, it was just creating a lot of unnecessary stress and anxiety. So this, like I said before, this program has been really helpful for me in terms of controlling that and just getting perspective.
Oh, that's amazing. It's just chill, right? Like that's what we hear a lot. Women will say like, life is so easy now. Like what was I doing before? It's so easy. Yeah. It's not like we don't have challenges, and it's not that, things don't come up. Life happens, but it's how you're now able to handle the toddler having a, you know, tantrum in the middle of the store versus before where it just like drives you to the, you know, sixth dimension or whatever.
Right.
That's really cool, Jane. And I remember too, when we've talked in our first call, like you and your husband had already made a significant shift to have more balance in your life and a higher quality experience. You know, you guys had moved from the city, states away, you've made, and you still weren't finding it. And you were kind of like, okay, something's
right. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. We made the big move. Like we made the big move from New York to Raleigh, North Carolina. So that was good. But in terms of like spending time and making that a priority and actually scheduling that, we did not do that. So we were kind of like two ships in the night a little bit. So I remember one day I was like, I think I talked to him like 5 minutes today. So I was husband for 5 minutes. Like that is crazy. Like that is ridiculous. We need to just make it a priority. So that has also been very helpful. You know, being able to, you know, have more, you know, intentional time spent. Yeah.
Yes. Creating the life you want. It does take intention. It doesn't happen because, you know, the chores never get done at home either. Like, no, we have this wonderful window for couple time. Like, when is that? Right? Like, never.
Right.
That is so cool. Okay. So got it. So life was just work was the centerpiece. What about you, Holly?
I think what drove me to join the group was I had just come off of a family vacation, and I spent so much of that vacation time doing work-related things. And as I self-evaluated, you know, I was like, what if that really had to happen on this vacation? And ultimately, I realized it was less than 10%. And I think at that point, I was like, this isn't work, this is me. And I need to shift somehow. And, you know, I just regretted, you know, that even when I was with my family, I was thinking about work, and I wanted to be able to make that shift. And so now, honestly, like when I am with my kids, I turn my radio off. We have a walkie-talkie system where I could get called at any point. So, you know, I announce and I say, I'm off for the next half hour, and I turn it off. I put my phone away. And I go through a bit of just a mental routine of like being willing to release everything I've been doing and being so grateful to be with my kids in the moment, and sort of mentally transitioning to that space and then really being present. And so, you know, I think I was fooled into thinking I needed more time with my kids, and yes, that's part of it, but I needed more quality presence with them. And that's what I'm getting now.
I love that, Holly. That is so cool. It's all about your connection need, right? It's the connectedness we're having, not just the FaceTime. It's not just FaceTime, because we can have FaceTime and it could be low quality FaceTime. I mean, I can have FaceTime with my kids and be yelling at them the whole time. Like, that's not quality time. You know, or being irritated, or like you're saying, just being distracted. Like you're going through the motions, like you're playing a game or whatever, but you're not there. They're chattering at you and you're just like, oh yes, I'm sorry, honey. What did you say? You know,
Right.
Being really in the moment. That's what we take away, and they get it. Do your kids notice, Holly? Do you feel like they notice that mommy's different now?
I think they do, because when I can come and be with them, they drop everything also, and we're all together. And I think they've responded to my just heightened, you know, attentiveness. So.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Awesome.
The other thing I noticed was my wonderful husband would be trying to talk to me at night, and I'd be answering an email and look over my shoulder and not even make eye contact at times. And like week 1 of this program, I was recognizing my need for connection and was like, this has to stop. And so it took some retraining, but you know, if he would start talking and I wasn't looking at him, I would say, can we try this again? And I turned my computer off, completely turned my body away from the screen. And like, I've just made a commitment to never look at a screen and him at the same time. And that small thing like has made a big difference.
Yeah. Has anyone else, that's a great question. Has anyone else, because you guys are all married, has anyone else husband like noticed or said anything or been like, I like this version of you better? Like, have you gotten any feedback from your guys?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, he's like, hey, you know, it's nice to spend time with you. You seem more relaxed.
Yeah.
And I had the same thing going on with the phone too. So I made it a point to, you know, put it away. So my husband did make a comment. It's nice that you're not on the phone. You know, it's actually talk with you without any distractions.
That's awesome. What about you, Karen? Have you and Craig had the champagne yet?
No, he's very, he's hard on me. And he says, I said to him, have you noticed a difference? I've actually asked him that. And he says, a bit. And to me, actually, when he says a bit, oh, you go popping the champagne, because he doesn't serve out he doesn't serve out compliments, but the kids do, and they're more freer with their compliments. Yeah, I think I need to. It's only been 2 months since, less than 2 months. When did we finish? Last month. Yeah. So he wants to see prolonged and sustained behavioral change, and I don't blame him. So we'll see.
Yeah. You'll do it. It's funny.
I know I will. I feel very confident.
That does happen for the guys, because when we've put our husbands second, third, fourth on hold, they've seen this behavior for so long, and we've attempted to change, and then we've fallen back, and then we've attempted. They do protect themselves, and we got to give him that. That's okay. He gets to protect himself for a while. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the fun part is 6 months from now when you wake up and go, okay, hon, I need more than a bit. Right? I think you can give me a little bit more than a bit now.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Okay, so let me ask you this. Was there like any pivotal moment? Well, no, let me ask you this instead. How did you feel when you enrolled with us in CWU? Because it's a big step. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you feel relief? Did you feel hope? Did you feel scared? Like, what were some of those feelings maybe you guys had?
For me, I just felt relieved and it felt so right, to be honest. And there's something that you said, which is about just invest in yourself. And I asked myself, when was the last time I really invested into myself? And I don't mean buying a nice pair of shoes, but I mean really investing in myself and making me happier. And, no gym membership, but absolutely addressing, the issues that I was facing. And no, never really is the answer. So I felt like, actually, I deserve this. I'm trying so hard. I was getting nowhere. Yeah. I had to do it. I was resolute, I guess, and relief is what I felt.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Karen. Jean or Holly?
Yeah, I was excited to join. I think one of the components that attracted me to this program was the fact that you're working with other corporate women. So you're working with a group who gets it. Like, you're living and breathing this stuff. So for me, I felt like, all right, this is a good way to also invest in myself and just come up with some good strategies. Like, I'm more of a concrete planning type person. So I'm like, all right, I think, everybody in my household could agree that my prior state was not working. So how do we make it better? So I was excited to join.
That's awesome. Excitement. I love it. And I remember you said that to me on our first call too. You were like, you get this, Kate. You were just like, she was like, okay, she gets this. Well, and you're an HR, so you see a lot of development programs and different things. And this is different because it's not your standard sort of like leadership development.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it, the other thing that kind of drew me into that, it also tackles the emotional side of it too, which is huge. It's something that is not necessarily addressed in leadership programs. So, a lot of the standard leadership programs will talk about goal setting and how do you lead your teams, but it doesn't take into account like, hey, I'm a whole person. So there's a dimension to me outside of work that needs to be tapped into as well. That's what attracted me to the program. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, good. So I have excitement. I have relief. What about you, Holly?
I was at the point where I just felt like I couldn't wait another day, and it was just I raced into it at full throttle, and was just really, really grateful to have found, I guess, a reason and like a sense of structure to making the change. And I felt confident after our first call that this was what would meet my needs at this time, and that would give me a framework to problem solve beyond the 8 weeks.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Great feedback. Okay, guys. Anything else that you tried? Like, because we've all tried stuff. We've all tried calendar management, putting our cell phone away. Like, what are some of the stuff you tried that just didn't work?
Yeah. I mean, I'd done, I was running 3 times a week. I'm doing yoga twice a week, but it wasn't fundamentally addressing the habits that I got into at work. I mean, I was fit, okay. Yeah, I was taking time out, okay, but I wasn't enjoying that connection with my family. And I still was you know, burning myself out actually physically during the day. I wasn't taking any breaks, you know. So it wasn't good enough. It's what I felt. I had got so far, but I hadn't gone far enough to make a true change. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when we first talked, Karen, because you told me, you know, you just signed up for yoga classes, and you know, your partner's so great about like giving you that extra hour at night or whatever. And I said, where did you take that time from? Did you take it from work or did you take it from family time? And you were like, oh. You know, I took it from family time, and I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So that I think is pretty cool that, you know, you recognize that, wait, I just keep taking and taking and taking away from the part of life that's the memory making, and I'm not, you know, addressing the big elephant in the room, which is the work that constantly just, you know, overtakes into my private life. That's good for you. Awesome. Holly, what were you going to say?
Well, I tried a lot of different scheduling techniques, and that would be helpful for a short time. Another thing that I really wanted before this program was to find a way to work out regularly. And so I'd set up little programs for myself, and I'd go for a couple weeks, and then it, you know, it didn't happen. And I think this program helped me realize that, you know, I was approaching working out like some kind of an achievement. And so I would have a stopwatch on myself, and I'd be trying to set a PR, and I recognized that what my need was for that part of my life to actually give me some leisure and some headspace and some autonomy, like just a chance to be alone. And to really think. And so it helped me kind of reshape the way I was working out so that I would look forward to it. So I wasn't like, I have to break a record today, because there's other areas of my life where I'm working to break records. So I needed my workouts to actually be something else. I wanted sunshine. Sometimes would bring one of my kids along and connect with them. And I also realized, like, it didn't have to be, you know, a 45-minute workout. Like some days I've got 10 minutes, and that's okay. I did it, you know, and I was in a 5K over the weekend, and I ran with my preschooler. And so it was mostly walk. And we were about, you know, a mile in, walk, run. And my husband had finished the race, and he ran back out to us, and he was like, hey, you go run. And I almost said no, because I realized that I would come in so late, and the time next to my name would be so embarrassing that I didn't want that on there, and I was just going to be with my son. But then I was like, no, this is I recognized the script based on CW. Like, this is an achiever script, a perfectionist script. Like, it would be great for my husband and son to play, and for me just to get a 10-15 minute run, regardless of the time. So like, I crossed the line with a horrendous finish time, but it wasn't about the time. Like I had the recognition of what my need was, and I wasn't so worried about the extrinsic.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. I love that. And what's so cool about that, you know, we have other women in the program who are athletes, and they do need that athletic piece because that's meeting their need. But you were approaching something and it wasn't working for you. And once you recognized what your true need was, you were able to make that shift. Power of human behavior, guys. It's just fascinating, isn't it? Jean, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I tried the same thing with the whole calendar thing and working out. But then I think you and I talked about this on our first call. I was working out at 10:30 at night, and you were like, Jean, it's a little late, don't you think? I'm like, yeah. So I, you know, very similar to what everybody was saying, that kind of worked for me in the short term, but just long term, I would still go back into, you know, old habits.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Breaking that cycle of habits. Oh my God. It's so huge. I mean, I did that for years, you know? All right, cool. Any obstacles that you had to overcome in CWU, guys? Anything? Was there a week? Was there something we had? I mean, you know, it is not all just a bunch of really cool strategies. Like, it is some internal work. So anything that made you kind of go, whoa?
I think the whole thing, the emotional piece, was a little bit of a challenge for me, just in terms of, you know, kind of digging more deeply into why, you know, what is it that's driving your need to achieve or be a perfectionist. So some of that required some soul searching. And I also think that, you know, when you're already busy, you know, if you're going to invest in the program, you do need to carve out the time to make the most of it. Yeah. So that means that there needs to be some flexibility on your part to actually put together, you know, some type of plan, whether you are, you know, going on the website early in the morning or during the weekend. So for me, I had to make that a priority.
And you put yourself as a priority. I mean,
Yes.
that's kind of what it was about. Yeah. Yeah. Karen, what about you?
Yeah, that was the first thing. I think we had the first coaching call with Laura, and she said to ask for help because she knew I'd be rubbish at it, and I am rubbish at it, but I've got a lot better. And the second thing is carve out proper time, not, half hour here, half hour there, sort of loose time, but actually proper time. And I did that at the weekends, first thing in the morning, and then at lunchtime. And actually it wasn't that amount of time. And by the time I got into it and realized that I needed to put myself first, it fell away. All the obstacles seemed to fall away. I found time for it, and I didn't make apologies for it. I put placements in my diary. I realized that actually the stuff I was learning, I was then that next day putting it into practice at work and to the benefit of work. So therefore I feel completely justified to save the time for me during the day. Yeah. So
that's brilliant. Yeah, it does come full circle. I mean, it's not like we're just taking away from work. You're going to show up differently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Molly, what about you? Was there any sort of big rock or challenge that you had to move out of the way?
I think just to get into the program, like the money piece, I was like, I had to get resourceful. I had to make a pitch for funding for it, and at the end of our talk initially, I was in tears because I was like, there's no way I could afford this. And then, you challenged me to be resourceful, and I got quiet and thought about ways I could approach it and found a way in. And I think once I was in, I was like, now that, this has been committed on my behalf, like I have to make the most of it. So I felt really impelled in that way.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great share. Absolutely. Because when we do, I think we all have, like, I have millions of pairs of shoes that I bought at the discount barn, and it's like no big deal. And I never wear them and I don't feel guilty about them. But when you buy like the really nice pair of shoes, you're like, I better wear these shoes. So, when we make an investment in something, it makes you think about how are you going to show up, right? Am I going to take advantage of this? Because it's not easy to just ignore and throw away and disregard. So that's a big deal. So that I just point that out because it's not just the financial piece, it's the internal piece that says, I'm worth it and I'm going to show up and do this. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the decision. The financial piece can always be figured out. So that's a great share. That's really cool, Holly. Awesome. So what, I was just going to ask you guys a question. Oh, does anyone feel like your work is suffering because of this? Because I think a big fear is high achievers is, oh my God, you're going to teach me how to step back, not work as much, be a slack, not care as much. Like women will come on the phone, they'll be like, I just need to learn how to not care as much. And I'm like, why? Like, why would you not care as much? Like, you're as a high achiever, we're never going to be happy. So is anyone's work suffering because of this, or do you feel like it's getting better, or what's your thought?
So much better. I'm just showing up as a leader. And I think that's one of the things you said earlier. You're not showing up as the leader, perhaps, you're not showing up. I can't remember the exact words you said. It wasn't judgmental, but you said something like, maybe you want to show up as a different type of leader, something like that. And now I'm definitely leading. I'm not doing, I'm properly delegating, I'm stepping back, and I'm letting my team make mistakes, do stuff. I'm trying to correct them as best I can, but it's about leadership and really understanding what that means. And I'd done all the classes, I'd been to all the theory, I'd watched videos that I was served up through work, and it just didn't resonate until I went through this course. Yeah.
Yeah, because all the leadership training in the world doesn't make a difference until you change inside.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to some of the most premier leadership training, like in the States, that is provided. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, but it didn't change until I changed. And then when I changed, I was like, oh, now I get it. Now I can lead. Because if not, you're still helicoptering, or you're still, worried about your team making a mistake, or you're like, should I do this? You have so much doubt. So it's like when that's removed, oh, now I can lead. You know what I mean? Like, huge. What about you, Jean?
Yeah, I mean, so I've gotten some really nice feedback at work in terms of impact. So one of the things that I've been able to get out of this program is, one, setting some appropriate boundaries. And in the past, I always thought that was a scary thing. They'd be like, no, you have to be here all the time. But I feel like I got more respect in doing that, and also getting clarity in terms of, okay, when do you need this done? Is it now? Is it next week? Let's talk about it. But because I'm not as distracted and scattered, I feel like I am much more deliberate, which has translated into my work. So the results have been very positive.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Look, nobody's slacking. So anybody who's watching this video, they're not a bunch of slackers now. What about you? You really had to come in and shift sort of, you know, you're shifting a culture, like not just your job.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen in 8 weeks, but I feel like I have a roadmap for it, and I've taken significant steps in that direction. So some immediate changes I've seen is that, you know, when I choose to go back and work extra hours, I do it because I'm choosing it intentionally rather than feeling guilty or like everyone assumes that I'll just pick up the pieces. And so, you know, I'm being asked to come back and help. And sometimes I say I'll do it in the morning if that's the right thing. Just that I'm not defaulting into those old habits. I'm choosing when I'm working extra. And there's times, you know, with the work I do, it peaks at different times, and recognizing that when I've gone through a peak time, then I can make adjustments later, but then I'm driving that rather than letting it drive me.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up, guys. Anything that you would love to share? I mean, if there was, you know, if Jean, Karen, and Holly were out there watching this, it's like, what would you say to Jean, you know, yourself, I guess, 8 weeks ago or 10 weeks ago or whenever it was? Is any advice or like last parting comments you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I would say make the time and the investment. It is definitely worth it. I think what you put in, you also get out. So yeah, that's what I would say.
What was your word, Jean? Do you remember?
My word was focused.
Focus.
Yeah.
It sounds, do you feel like you've achieved that?
Yeah, I have. And I think the good thing is when I lose focus, it helps me get back on track. So
you recognize it now.
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
That is so cool. What about you, Holly? Any parting words of advice or parting thoughts?
If you know it's what you want, there's always a way to make it happen. And just that you're worth it. I think this has helped me realize that I can make decisions with my own sense of value rather than sort of leaving myself last in every decision. Yeah. And that's actually not a selfish thing to do. For me to be able to give as a leader, for me to be able to give as a mom, as a partner, like I have to be taking care of my needs. And I think this allowed me to make that shift and to sort of value and factor and love myself as part of the equation.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. That's incredible. Oh, hail, hail. I love that. Thank you, Holly. That's huge. What was your word, Holly?
Fun, fulfilling life.
Ah, and now you've got the roadmap and you're starting to do that. I love it. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Karen, what about you?
It wasn't just about work-life balance for me. I was going around in circles and I didn't know where I was going in terms of a career path. So not only did I could see how to disconnect from work. It was more about where I was going next. I was getting caught up in that and I didn't know where. So it's cleared my mind, certainly. And I've had a couple of calls recently, even today, where, you know, I had an interview today and I was able to really clearly say what I'm looking for and what value I bring and why. And so I would never have spoken like that so clearly. So I don't know whether I'll get the job or not, it doesn't matter, but I'm very clear now what I want. So that's been so worth it as well.
Oh, that's incredible. Yes, as women, we don't tell people what we want.
No.
That's beautiful. But also that clarity of knowing what you want, Karen. Wow.
Yeah,
that's huge. Guys, thank you so much for doing this. This has been fantastic. Every single one of you are amazing clients. You did. You showed up. You were decisive. You made the time. You invested in yourself, and it shows. And it totally shows. So thank you so much. This is really valuable. I'm sure it will really help a lot of women who are going to see this. So I appreciate you guys. Awesome.
no, thank you.
Thank you.